I may be independent, but that doesn't mean that I'm functioning well. So today I'm going to show you 3 unhinged meals that I make for myself. Let me set the scene. You're about to leave for a big vacation, right? And you need to empty your fridge. You're on the last 2 to 3 days before you need to leave. There's no point in going to the grocery store and getting more food because it'll just go bad. So what do? You reach in the fridge and you make what you can with what is left. That's what these recipes were made from, except I'm living that day every day, baby. The ambiguity of what I'm gonna eat in a day really fuels my creative inspiration. Okay, so I guess I'll start with like something that can actually be considered a meal, something that's approximately a meal because of how I make it, and then a meal slash drink slash I would drink this before I had coffee because it feels like enough to have before coffee and avoid IBS, but it doesn't feel like enough to be considered a whole meal. And I will say, some of these meals seem completely normal. What's unhinged is what leads us to the final product. You'll understand what I mean in a moment. To start, I've got my bread. I like whole wheat bread. As promised, there's literally only 5 slices left. I'll probably have one as a snack if I'm being honest. Toasting. While the bread is toasting, I'll introduce you to the stars of the show. My knives. A lot to unpack here. This knife, super sharp. I've sliced my thumb so neat with this blade. However, this knife is super duper blunt. Guess which knife is my favorite? It's this one. So from here, we need to move quickly. I've got some oil in a pan heating up for eggs. I've got my bread toasted even though it doesn't look like it's toasted. I'm using my best friend, the blunt knife, to spread pesto, vegan pesto, onto my toast. Now, this was not enough pesto. I played myself. Maybe a dollop about this big will be enough. Oh gosh, I hope I don't need more pesto than that. That would be embarrassing. Oh, we got it. Okay, I brought you over here because this is where things are gonna get a little questionable. Here's my tomato. Ooh, it's a Kuma tomato. They're supposed to be less acidic than regular tomatoes. I just gave it a little rinsey rinse, and now I'm going to cut it with my blunt knife. Now, the reason why I need this knife to be blunt is because this is how I cut my tomatoes. There we go. Sweet. I will say the blade hit my knuckles, but since it's so blunt, I didn't get cut. Do not do this at home. I will say the only reason I was able to do that without maiming myself is because this knife is just that blunt. Also notice I'm not using a cutting board, I'm using aluminum foil. This will come into play later. I just put shredded mozzarella cheese on it. This is cashew based, lactose free. I am lactose intolerant and I take it very seriously. I'm cracking 2 eggs into this skillet that's way too hot. Dope. Okay. These are gonna cook way too fast. That's dope. At this point, I put that sandwich in the oven on broil on a sheet that was already in there. Let that cook until that is done. I've never done this part not over a sink, but I'm gonna try it today. The theme of this video is using as little utensils as possible, so I'm just gonna flip my eggs. Oh no, I've timed this improperly. The eggs are now done, but the stuff in the oven is not. I know what you may be thinking. If this is so unhinged, how do you know when the toast is done? And the answer to your question is when it starts smoking. I have a plate and the knife. Peel them from the tin foil. I'm gonna put the eggs on straight. Usually there's like some oil left over, so I'll let that drip on because I like my bread a little soggy because it's kind of easier to eat. And then voila. Oh, well, wait. Voila. I thought I should probably get more shots of me in the sandwich. It's like a breakfast sandwich. Looks slightly more appealing than how I tried to describe it. If the lighting looks different now, it's because it is. It's later in the day. I'm filming these out of order. Social media isn't real. But no, I actually just wanted to like cook the meals at a time where I would actually eat them, so I would, you know, eat them. On to the second recipe. Not recipe. Second meal. Unhinged meal. I do not want to call this a recipe because recipe indicates or implies that I am telling you how to make these things so then you can then make them. Honey, I wouldn't want anyone to eat the way that I eat. This is rice, right? If you know anything about rice, you know how after day 1, day 2, it gets dry. Perfect if you're making fried rice, right? Well, I have neither the means nor the motivation to make fried rice. And when I don't feel like making that, this is what happens. I'm gonna take my dried rice. You can see how dry it is. Literally, it's hard. I'm gonna have to separate it with this spoon. Yummy! Oh, I know, baby. Bao thinks whenever I eat, he has to eat too, which is not correct. He begs to differ. Now, I'm gonna take water, pour it straight into this bowl. I don't measure how much I put in here. In theory, this is going to soften the rice. Now that I have made wet rice, I'm going to put a little cover over it. And I'm gonna put it in the microwave. I usually do like a minute at a time just to see how things work out. This is really hot. It's super hot. See, look, all nice and fluffy now. It ended up needing like 3 minutes in the microwave because I added so much water to it. Now I'm frying up 2 eggs to put on this. By this point, you should be thinking, Kate, how many eggs do you eat in a day? And I would respond with, yeah, 3 to 4. Now, ideally, I would have like the little shredded seaweeds to put in this, but I ran out yesterday. So I'm just using the like little square package of seaweed, except how do I put this? I'm not picky with my seaweed at all. So when I grabbed this brand from the shelf at the Korean market, I didn't think twice. It sucks. It's just like not seasoned. It says roasted and seasoned flavor. No, it's not. I'm just gonna like mush them on top of the rice. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom. If I had to pick a favorite utensil, I think it would probably be spoons. Look at this. I'm doing the job of both a fork and a knife. Wake up in the morning, then I dab. Sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Anyways, now that I have my eggs and seaweed all mixed in, I'm gonna add some sauces because honestly, it's still a little dry. Do y'all remember that like salmon rice bowl thing? Yeah, this is like that, except with eggs. Then I'm going in with my sriracha. Slay. I added a 1/3 thing of seaweed and a lot more sriracha. Everything I make is always to taste, so I can't give you any specific measurements. The journey it took to get here was very scary. 3 minutes in the microwave? I know there's such thing as like microwavable rice, but when your rice is like all dried out and like 2 days old, something about microwaving it just seems a lot more desperate. Okay, that was enough of this. On to the next meal. This last one I'm gonna call the everything but the kitchen sink smoothie. The reason I give it this name is because of how I put ingredients into it. Usually, we'll start with frozen blueberries and frozen spinach. I hate spinach. No matter how much spinach is in a dish, I can taste it and I don't like it. But it is good for you, so. Even though I hate spinach, I'm really bad with figuring out portion control. I'm just gonna see how many globs of frozen spinach come out. Ugh, okay, that's fine. I'm not doing more than, This is like the truest battle of mind versus heart. Okay, now I've never done this part before. So I was on vacation and I had a really good smoothie and it had oats in it. I've made overnight oats before and I've seen like oatmeal, of course, but I just don't know if you can like cook or eat oats as this is. Finally, liquids. I usually use a special almond milk, but I've got this coconut water that I need to get rid of, so I hope this turns out fine. I'm sure it will. I did not realize coconut water was like actually water. Ugh. Yeah, because when I like drink coconut water, it just tastes nasty. My stepmom used to drink coconut water like exclusively. So whenever we were on vacation, we were like, oh, I'm thirsty, I want some water. She'd be like, oh, here, and hand us her water bottle. And it was coconut water. Do you know how unpleasant that experience is? Taking a sip of something that you think is water and it ends up being coconut water. I don't know if you've been able to see this in the corner. Second to last thing, silk coconut milk yogurt alternative. I didn't realize the coconut water was as watery as it is. So in my head, I was like, oh, these are both made with coconuts. They'll mix fine. I'm just gonna put the remainder of this because it needs to be thrown out. Actual final last ingredient is agave syrup. I don't know the difference between the agaves, but this is the one that I have. Hello. I'm not measuring anything in case you haven't noticed. I just kind of vibe it. And here's my smoothie. I've like approximately abided by the max fill line, but I take that more as a suggestion. It's turned out a lot more watery than it usually is. Maybe it's because I used coconut water. How do I make this thicker? Ice? Ice. Every time I say ice, I think about that Reba McEntire skit where she's saying like chewing ice, but because of her southern accent, it sounds like she's saying chewing ass. Yep, I think that did it. The fun thing about this is I'll usually put half of it into like a little water bottle so I can have it for later. Oh no, 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 no. So those are 3 recipes that I make when I have nothing left I have nothing left to give the world. I have nothing left to offer. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'll be posting videos every Friday at 6:30. Is it 6 or 6:30? Editor Kate. See you next Friday.